Okay, so now that this web map is loaded, right, so we have all of the different prefectures in here. You'll notice that that timeline has now popped up down here. We have the earthquakes of Japan and we have the prefectures. And you'll notice that it has kept all of the same coloring as before. So in this case, it has automatically created this slider system to show how things have been changing over time, right? And so this is actually quite nice if you wanted to make animated maps, animated web layers, things like that. Now you can actually adjust all of this information in your ArcOnline system as well. So to adjust this, what you're going to want to do is click on one of the sites or one of the layers over here, and it's going to pop up on the right hand side. And so this right hand side is going to tell you what information you can flip between. So this is just the information that we have. This visibility is kind of key, particularly if you're looking at things online, because if I switch this to a certain level, it's going to drop the visibility, and so I actually have to zoom in past that to be able to see things. So depending on what level you want things to be viewed at how close people have to be to see your information, that's going to be something that you're going to want to think about. You can enable or not enable time in this particular case because there was a time one on it. So if I enable time, that's where that pop-up's going to show up. If I don't enable time, it won't show up. And so then what I can also do if I want to change how my map looks, so if I want to change the symbology, that's going to be under Edit Layer Style. This works very similar to the Arc Pro system, but it does have slightly fewer options attached to it. So you can do color counts and amounts, and so that's giving you the gradient. You can have counts and amounts by color. You can have color and size. You can have a heat map. You can have single. You can have unique. So you can have all of the same things as before. Now, where it will tell you how it's being split up is up at the top here with this field, right? So this has this event magnitude and it's got this one selected, right? So that's how we had it before. This is just how it shows up here. So that event magnitude is looking at how big or small it is, and the counts and the size, that's where that's popping up. Now, if I do this, I can also adjust what it is. So maybe I don't like the brown anymore and I want to switch that out for some sort of orange, right? So then you see that it flips to orange here. Or maybe I want to say that no, I actually want this kind of pink purple, or maybe I want this green. I want something like that. And so you can change that to be whatever set of colors you want it to be. Now, if you were doing this instead by a color gradient instead of a size gradient, you would also have that option to choose what that gradient is. What I will say about the ArcOnline gradient system is that it is more limited than the Arc Pro system, but it's designed more so for web maps, and so that's kind of what it's geared towards. Okay, so then you'll see that you have the size range on here. So maybe I want to actually adjust this out a little bit, because in this case, with how big my screen is, it's actually kind of hard to see where some of those are. If I want to show what things are out of range or no values, I can do that. And then I'm going to have this option of whether or not I want to keep it by natural breaks, individual breaks, however I want to break up that data. Remember that data aggregation? And so once I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to say, okay, I'm done, and I'm done with that. Now, I can also filter things, so if I don't want to show everything, then I can add that filter. So for example, if I wanted to say I want it so that only event magnitudes are greater than 4.6, right? So now this is going to drop us down. I can switch that, and so I can look and see how much I want to show. Do I want to show everything from 4 up, or do I want to maybe only have from 5 up, right? So maybe I don't want to show I only want to show a few of the events and have them a little bit bigger, and I can do that in here. The next thing I can do is I can play around with effects. Now, I will caution that effects can get difficult to look at. But for example, I can bloom it, which adds a neon glow to it. So this changes things and then I can adjust what that is, right? So very heavily looking at that kind of strength, and it turned everything else a little bit darker. I'm going to turn that off. I can add drop shadows, right? So drop shadows are going to make things pop out. Blurs are going to make it lose focus in certain areas. I can adjust it so that it contrasts. I can switch it so that it is only grayscale. I can change the hue so it matches. I can change the saturation. I can invert the colors, or I can use a sepia tone. So I can do these for anything on that whole layer, or if there's a specific thing I want to do, I can do it there. If there's too much information and I want to aggregate the data, I can also do that. This is not my favorite thing to do personally. I really dislike aggregation, generally speaking, but it is an option that you can do. And then things that are going to be actually really important are going to be pop-ups. So when we deal with online systems, while we lose a lot by not having our layout, we also gain a lot in terms of interactivity. And the pop-up is one of those things. So if I click on any of these dots, then I'm going to have a pop-up show up in here, right? And so this is how it's going to show up automatically, and I can switch between them. Now this isn't a particularly nice pop-up, right? And that's something that I want to adjust. So under the pop-ups here, it's going to say I have, in this case, it's going to have the text and what the text is. I'm going to, in this case, edit this text. Sometimes by default, it will just come up with the total, with the table that you have. That's very, very common. And so I can say, I want to have this earthquake magnitude here, and I can say date and time. And then I can add this. So anytime you see these brackets in here, this is going to allow you to see where and what different options you have here. So in this case, I'm going to say event magnitude is there. I'm going to say date and time. I'm going to say earthquake depth. Earthquake depth. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to say depth. And I'm going to say kilometers. I'm going to have the date and time. And then I'm going to have another one that says for, I'm going to say location. Location, location, and then for more information, click for more information is what I'm going to put. Click for more information. Okay, so this one, I'm going to add my location, which is the location name, and then I'm going to put in here, actually, click for more information. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this hyperlink in here, and I'm going to add that as the event URL. And I'm actually going to say click for more information this way. There we go. Now I can make some adjustments here if I want. I can change what the text is, how big it is, whether or not it's bolded, all of those different sorts of things. And I can add in more information if I want. I don't just have to have this variety of text. So now you can see, oh, I didn't bold that one. Bold. So now you can see that I've got the earthquake magnitude, depth, location. If I have the title, I can say something that I want. So maybe I can say, if there's an event title, we'll see that. So this is the event title. It's not a great title. So I can say maybe I want something else, but for now I suppose that's fine. And so this is how this pop-up is going to show up. And then if I want to add more content, I can. And so I can add images, charts, fields, text, all of it works in the same sort of way. And so this allows people to have more information as they click through. So that's a fairly useful one to have. Now, it's not the only one that I have. So with every single one of these, I have pop-ups. So if I don't want something to pop up, I also have the option of disabling those pop-ups. So maybe I don't want them for the prefectures. But if I have it enabled, this is the most common way that it's going to show up, which is this name and the fields list. And so oftentimes I'll get rid of this fields list. So most of the time I'll click on the 3 buttons and hit delete, and I will get rid of that, and then I'll add in the text with the information that I want. So in this case, I would have population in 2021. And then I would put this in the field, and then I would maybe say area in kilometers squared. And then I have this. And that's it. So now I've got the name, and I have it in kilometers squared, and I say okay, and that's what I've got. And that's it. And then for the Japanese prefectures, I don't want those to pop up anymore. And so that is how we can make those types of adjustments. If we need to adjust any of these layers, we can also rename them in here. That's going to give us the option to rename them so that they are readable, and it'll give us a chance to see what all is available. So if we need to configure time for whatever reason, we can do that. Now it's got the time here. And so once we're happy with how this looks, we can also adjust the names up here. Once we're happy with how it looks, we can say save. And that's going to allow us just to save and and that's what our new map is going to look like. Now, once we've saved it, this is where we can start getting into different web applications, because this is just a web map. It's not an actual application. And so you can also then go down to this bottom part here and say, I want to create an application. This is going to head you in towards all of the different functions that ArcGIS has to offer with web communication. And they've done a lot of work to design and create really interesting applications that are very user-friendly. And that's what we're going to come back to in our next video.